Good morning. It is Tuesday, January the 13th, and we are excited to come back and look into the Psalms, particularly Psalm 119, as we've been going through this in the month of January and every weekday. We are at the ninth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, as this psalm is divided into sections based upon the Hebrew alphabet, which is 22 letters. This particular letter, spelled T-E-T-H, and it is the letter of goodness, testing, and hidden treasure. It is again the ninth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it carries a beautiful paradox. It represents goodness, but often goodness that comes through difficulty. And that's really the focus on this particular section of the Psalms. We'll be in a minute, we'll be looking at verses 65 through 72. And so I'm going to do this a little different. I'm not going to read the path all the way through. We're going to go through each verse, maybe save a little bit of time on the video. So the Hebrew symbolism for this letter is, again, it represents goodness, and it is also represents something that is hidden inside, like a container that holds something valuable. It is good that emerges from struggle, testing that produces a blessing. And the picture of this particular letter looks like, the way it's drawn, it looks like a basket. And something that conceals something, or conceals, like a womb even, something that conceals life until the right moment. That's the idea. That would be the idea of this. So this letter would basically represent there is goodness hidden inside this situation. How many of you are facing a situation right now where you're wondering if any goodness will come out of this? Maybe you're facing it now, but you certainly have faced things in the past. And I don't know about you, but we've seen God's faithfulness in every situation, and always something good it comes out of it because we belong to Him. And He's always working good in us, even through our difficult situations. So let's begin to look at the verses. And you'll see this play out as we read the verses. So verse 65 and 66 says, "You have dealt well with your servant, O Lord, according to your word. Teach me good discernment and knowledge, for I believe in your commandments." So right here at the beginning, he begins with goodness of God. Teach me your good judgment and knowledge. He wants to discern the hidden good in God's ways. And that should be our heart as well. We're always looking to discern that. In verse 67, "Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I keep your word." Wow, what a statement, right? Affliction became his teacher. Goodness through testing is what we see here. And then in verse 68 it says, "You are good and do good. Teach me your statutes." This statement is in context with affliction, right? In other words, in his affliction, in our affliction, our statement is, "You are good and do good. Teach me your statutes." That even though this situation is upon me and I don't like it, I know that you are still good. And if you have allowed this, it's not because of evil that you intend for me. It is because of good that you intend for me. Verse 69, "The arrogant have forged a lie against me. With all my heart I will observe your precepts." Verse 70, "Their heart is covered with fat, but I delight in your law." And what a beautiful statement. See, when we're going through affliction, when we're going through difficult things, people can lie about us because they don't know what God is doing in us in the secret place. Their hearts are surrounded. So have you ever had, a situation where somebody looks at you in your affliction and they think, "Oh, well, I told them that they needed to do this or they needed to do that. They're going through this because they didn't listen to me. They're going through this because of sin in their life. They're going through this because of this. And people just talk because they don't know. They don't know what's really happening in our lives. They're just chattering, and that's what he's talking about here. The arrogant have forged a lie against me because they don't know what's happening in my life. In verse 70 talks about their heart is covered with fat, meaning their hearts are surrounded by excess. But but you delight in his word. That's what he said. But I delight in his law, in his word. That's what it means. So that's what we need to do. You need to do. I need to do. We need to delight in his word. Let their hearts be filled with excess. In other words, they're superficial. They're just meaningless. It's a success. It's not necessary. But we are looking for something that's gold. We're looking for something that's silver. We're looking for something that's of worth, that comes from God. And then in verse 71, it is good for me that I was afflicted. What? It is good for me that I was afflicted. And he says next, that I may learn your statutes. Wow. Like, because he's realizing that his affliction led him to seek the treasure of God. And because of that, it was good. This is goodness hidden inside suffering. That's the idea of this. Even in suffering, the Lord brings good. In verse 72, he closes it out. The law of your mouth is better to me than thousands of gold and silver pieces. Wow. In other words, the treasures that I can gain, the physical treasures that I can gain in this life, are not to be compared with the word that comes from the mouth of God. It is worth more than thousands of gold and silver pieces. Somebody offered you $10 million, and all you had to do is discard the word of God. Never look at it again. Don't treasure it in your heart. Take that instead. Would you? Not if you really know the value of the word. Oh no, you would cling to that and say, take your gold and silver, take your millions of dollars. I'm hanging on to the word of God. So in this section, the psalmist is saying this: God, you brought good out of my pain, and your word has become my treasure. May the word of God be your treasure today. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.